The Miami Dolphins have won 4 straight games, but can they do it on the road in the cold against a playoff caliber opponent? Let's find out.
You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network.
Hello, Miami Dolphin fans, and welcome to the Same Old Dolphins Show, part of the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. I'm Josh Katzker. With me today and every day is my brother from the exact same mother, Aaron the Brain. Aaron, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
It has all been building up to this. The Miami Dolphins, through the first 13 games of this season, are sitting at 6-7. Sitting at 6-7, Brain. But now, they have an opportunity to do something that they have consistently failed to do over the last, I don't know how many years. It seems like the Dolphins, every time the Dolphins have ever had the opportunity to do what is about to be in front of them on Monday, they've failed. So, Brain, you don't have to answer right now if you don't want to, but can the Dolphins go on the road in the cold against a playoff caliber opponent and get a big win with the eyes of the nation on them?
I'm going to save my answer for the end of the show.
Like a pro.
You know, not my first rodeo. I will say this. The Dolphins are hot. They're moving in the right direction. They're coming off of a dominant performance. They're largely getting healthier, although the Devon Achane situation is one worth keeping an eye on, but I expect that he's going to be full go by Monday night. And the Steelers, on the other hand, are very banged up. And so you think about why things have failed in the past for the Dolphins in this very situation of going into cold weather, going on the road against a good team. And the things that pop into your head are, number one, historically, at least over the last several years, being injured going down the stretch. You think about this team being a finesse team that, you know, largely relies on the pass. And now they're a run-first team that is playing a physical brand of football. And it, you know, when you really look at it, you got to say, well, you know, maybe things are just lining up for them. Maybe this year is different. I don't know. We'll talk about it later, you know, when we make our predictions, but it sort of feels like things are kind of going their way heading into this game.
I love it when a plan comes together, especially when the first part of the plan is the Dolphins going 2-7. I absolutely love it. So we're going to talk about it. Monday night, Dolphins, Steelers, Monday Night Football, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman on the call. That's coming your way Monday night. We're going to talk about it here today on the Same Old Dolphin Show. But before we do that, a reminder to you, if you're not doing so already, make sure you're following us. You can follow me at Amplify to Rock. He is at Aaron the Brain. That's at Aaron the brain. The show is at Same Old Dolphins. You can also follow us on Instagram at Same Old Dolphins. We've got more and more of you doing that, which we appreciate. So thanks for everybody for coming along over there. Make sure you are visiting DolphinsTalk.com each and every day. It is your one-stop shop for all things Miami Dolphins. We invite you to download, rate, review, and subscribe to the Same Old Dolphins Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, everywhere that you get your podcasts. And shout out to everybody watching live at the I'm a Miami Dolphin Fan Facebook page, run by the great and powerful and handsome Carlos Hernandez. Shout out to everybody watching live on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. Shout out to everybody watching on demand on the YouTube channel. Take a moment, if you would, right now, please smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We appreciate that very much. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't tell you to head on over to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk and join us over at Dolphins Talk Extra immediately after the show goes off the air for more Same Old Dolphin Show. That's right. Every week on Dolphins Talk Extra, you get a bonus segment from the Brain and I. You get Mike's college football show, and we've got content going all off season long. We'll be doing draft coverage there, non-Dolphins content as well. We also get access to the Discord community, also to all the contests that we've got going over there. We're down to the final two in our Survivor Pool Redux because we had somebody win the original Survivor Pool this season over there. And so we decided on doing a second round of the Survivor Pool. We're already down to 2 people left. So if you want to get in on those contests over there, you can do it by subscribing to Dolphins Talk Extra. It's patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. And if you use the promo code DTXmas from now through the end of the regular season, you get your first month for only a single $1. So head on over there and join us. We are going to have a great. I'm hearing that my mic is sounding unusual on the feed. So let me see. If I can fix that for you.
Oh, that's much better. I'm sorry. I should have let you know that before
you
the show started.
Said anything to me. I'm glad Mike is in the chat to tell me that my mic didn't sound right. Well, so hopefully now it sounds a little better on your end here on the live stream. Those of you listening in podcast form are never going to notice a difference, but regardless. Anyway, Brain, let's get into it. Let's talk Dolphins, Steelers. And I think really, you kind of alluded to this in your preamble here, which is that in years past, part of the reason that the Dolphins struggled to have their offense translate when they went on the road, and specifically when they went on the road in the cold, was that it was that timing-based passing offense. But what has really shifted over the past 4 weeks in particular, 4 games in particular, but really over the course of the season, the Dolphins are finally leaning into a ground game. And on top of that, it's a ground game with diversity. It is not simply the pure outside zone running game that they've run before. They're running outside zone. They're running inside. They're running gap. We saw that last week when Jalen Wright came into the game after Achane was injured. The Dolphins were able to keep the game moving, keep running the ball, and being very effective in so doing. So the question is, Brain, are the Dolphins going to be able to keep that running game purring as they travel on the road to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers on Monday night?
Here's the question. Assuming Devon Achane is healthy enough to go, which I believe he is, and you have your full complement of your rushing attack, the Steelers have largely been an average run defense. Not great, not terrible, sort of similar in the past, and frankly in like every aspect of their team, they've been very average at just about everything except for running the football, where they've been below average. But they haven't been bad specifically at anything, which has sort of kept them afloat. It gives you a certain floor as a team when you don't do anything poorly. So on paper, just looking statistically at, hey, the Steelers aren't great at defending the run. The Dolphins have really become one of the best running attacks in the league. The Dolphins should be able to run the football. The Steelers haven't been a great passing defense. The Dolphins have been probably a below average passing defense, especially, after Tyreek Hill went out, and especially over the last month of the season, because Tua has really regressed. That said, not going up against a super, super strong pass defense, with the injury to TJ Watt, maybe not dealing with as much of a pass rush as you would normally face. Maybe this sort of lines up and it says advantage Miami. But here's the thing. Even an average rush defense, if they trust their defense on the back end to just shut down the big play, and they don't believe that your quarterback can beat them, especially when it's cold like it's going to be, I expect you're going to see a lot of Jalen Ramsey on Jalen Waddle, getting really physical with him and trying to take Jalen Waddle out of the equation and saying, we're going to load up on stopping the run, and we're going to make Tua have to beat us throwing to other guys that aren't Jalen Waddle. And I'm not sold that this offense can do it. They looked really good against the Jets. And Devon Achane has put up some great numbers here over the last few weeks. But it's not like the Dolphins have been some offensive juggernaut. They put up 21 points on the Saints, which was really 19 points against the Saints before the pick two that we're calling it. They put up 16 points in overtime against the Commanders, and they were kind of lucky to put up 16 against the Commanders. And these are in games where they still had success rushing the football. I think it's going to be difficult. I don't think it's going to come easy, but I think if they stay committed to it, I think this has the chance. And I think if the defense holds up their end of the bargain, this has a chance to be a close game if they play a clean game to where you're not asking Tua to do a whole lot. If you fall behind in this game, I think it has a chance to get ugly and really snowball on them. If you play it close to the vest and you play a clean football game, I think you'll have a situation where in the fourth quarter, you might be able to lean on your running game that much more. And you might only need Tua to come up with a couple of clutch throws. I think that's the recipe for success in this football game. But I'm not going into this game and expecting that we're just going to run for 200 yards against the Steelers. Maybe I'm wrong. And if the Dolphins could go in and the Steelers know that they're going to run the football, and the Dolphins can still go in there and run for 200 yards and have their way, that says a lot about where this football team is at right now. And then I'll be very, very encouraged to see how this plays out the rest of the season. They need to show me that they can do that against a real football team. Not against the Jets, not against the Saints, not against the Commanders. Sure, they had a good game against Buffalo, but that was an anomaly. Let's see what happens. I'm very intrigued to see if they can do that. And then I'm intrigued to see if Tua, even in that given circumstance where they're not asking him to do too much, can he come out and play a clean football game in a big time moment in cold weather against a good football team?
Yeah, I think it bears repeating that the Steelers are a good team. The Steelers are not a great team. This is not one of the best teams in the NFL, but it is a team that is leading their division, and it's a team that, you look at what they did last week on the road in Baltimore. This is a team that is capable of doing good things when they're clicking on all cylinders. They're a team that, much like the Dolphins, has not always been clicking on all cylinders, but when they do and they get it right, they are in fact a good team. And at that stadium in Pittsburgh in prime time with the lights on in front of everybody, that is going to be a very tough game. And that's one of those places where the Dolphins have failed to deliver time after time. So if they can get up there and they can impose their will, that is something that you come away from this game and you go, okay, I have learned something today. I think as much as we, us on this show, we have said that, I don't know how much you can take away from an ugly win over the Saints or an ugly win over the Commanders or, even a somewhat comprehensive win over the Jets, a team that was firing blanks. It's like, I don't know how much you can take away from that kind of win. But if they can go in and impose their will on the Steelers in Pittsburgh Monday night, that is a statement. That is a statement. Let's talk about the other side of the ball, because here is where an area where I think the Dolphins are, again, another side of the ball where the Dolphins have really taken some strides. And it's on that defensive side of the ball, whether it's up against the run where they're still a little vulnerable. And Pittsburgh is a very good running team with Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell back there. And they're a decent passing team as well when Aaron Rodgers is feeling it, because we've seen Aaron Rodgers tear this team apart in a game that didn't mean anything at the end of last season. But we've also seen him come into Hard Rock Stadium and beat the Dolphins in a game that was, that had big implications for the Dolphins a couple of years ago on Christmas Day. So really, I think nothing is out of the question in terms of what this Steelers team is going to be able to do on offense. The question ultimately is, can the Dolphins slow them down?
Yeah, well, I look, the Steelers are not a great rushing offense, first and foremost. They're towards the bottom of the league in yards per carry. They're bottom 5 in the league. They're averaging less than 4 yards a carry as a team for the season. And it's not like it's been better over the last 3 games. Over the last 3 games, same 3.9 yards per carry. This is not a great rushing offense. So if the Dolphins can't stop the run, they're going to be in trouble, because what the Steelers do well is they throw the ball. They have Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is largely having an efficient season. He isn't the Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay days, where he's, throwing 3 touchdowns every game, and slinging the ball all over the field. But he is a heady quarterback. He's still an accurate quarterback. He can still make just about every throw that you ask him to make. He's just not quite as mobile. And I think that's the key here. The key to this game is not in the secondary. It's not in the Dolphins' ability to stop the run, although that is important. The key to this game is, can the Dolphins put pressure on Aaron Rodgers? Because Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is very much like a statue back there. And the Steelers are banged up on the offensive line. And so that is the question. The Dolphins defense, which has not been great at getting after the quarterback, is going to need to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And if they do, they can get they could take advantage of a Pittsburgh offensive line that is a little bit banged up. They could put Pittsburgh in some poor down and distances. They can get themselves into a situation where they know Pittsburgh has to throw, and then potentially get themselves off the field, or potentially, force Aaron Rodgers into some mistakes or some errant throws on some big time passing downs, because they're just able to get to the quarterback. That is the key for the Dolphins defense in this game, is can they bother Aaron Rodgers? If Aaron Rodgers is sitting back there in a clean pocket, he is going to beat this defense. The Dolphins defense has played better the last several weeks, the last month of the season, but they've also, largely done it against either backup or below average starting quarterbacks in this league. Actually, I think they've done it almost entirely against backup quarterbacks. I mean, aside from the win against, Josh Allen, you go back to the Falcons, it's Kirk Cousins. You go to the Commanders and it's Marcus Mariota. You go and it's Shuck against the Saints. And then for all but 2 drives, it was Brady Cook against the Jets. It's a major level up in competition. And let's not forget that although they only gave up 13 points to the Bills, I'll say this over and over again until this Dolphins defense proves that they're for real and they've got opportunities to do so. What they did against Buffalo was impressive. They had a good game, but Buffalo turned the ball over 3 times on Miami's side of the 50. And if they don't turn the ball over 3 times on Miami's side of the 50, they likely put up 30 points in that football game. And so I'm intrigued to see what this Dolphins defense looks like against a real quarterback, and see if how Aaron Rodgers plays. Because if Aaron Rodgers plays a clean football game, I'm not going to be surprised if the Steelers put up, somewhere between 24 to 30 points in this game. And if they do, I think the Steelers are probably going to win the football game, because I don't know that I trust this Dolphins offense to put up that many points. And let's not even, you don't even have to go back to the Buffalo game. Tyler Shuck looked like a Pro Bowl quarterback in the second half of the game 2 weeks ago against the Saints. And that was Tyler Shuck. And that was the Saints. I'm just saying, I want to see that. I think things are trending in the right direction for this defense, but I'm not all the way bought in on them yet.
Yeah, I get that. Brain, do you know when the last time the Dolphins beat Aaron Rodgers was?
Did they not beat him last season, the first time these two played?
No, because wasn't
he not play in that game? I thought.
Did he not play in that game? He played in that game last year?
I thought he did. Let's go back. 2024. Dolphins Jets. Overtime win. Let's take a look at the box score.
Yeah, it was over. Yeah, it was last year.
I mean, he threw for 339 yards.
Yeah. So this is a guy that can light up the Dolphins when he wants to.
Yeah.
So, well, then I think it's just about time for us to deliver some hot takes. But before we do that, we know that there are high stakes in this game for the Dolphins, right? They've got these fleeting playoff hopes that, if they can win out and finish the season 10-7, there is an outside chance that if results go their way elsewhere, that they could sneak into the playoffs. They basically need the Colts to continue their collapse, and they need the Chargers to collapse, right? And then they need the Chiefs to lose at least one more game. They need some teams to just completely drop off in order for them to have any hope of sneaking into the playoffs. But so we know there's something at stake from that perspective, but I think we also have to talk about what is at stake here for Mike McDaniel. We alluded to this a little bit in our last show, which is that Mike McDaniel has, I think, a ton riding on this game. I think there are a lot of people that will tell you that he is, with the last 4 games, has earned the right to come back and coach this team, and how he's been, he's reinvented the running game, he's done enough to earn the right to come back and be this team's head coach again next year. And my answer to that is absolutely not. No, he hasn't. Because to get this offense cooking and get the team, first of all, they've gotten the running game going, but they won ugly in 2 of those games. Those games against the Saints and Commanders were horrible, ugly games. That's one. But 2 is getting this team to perform and beat bad teams is something that Mike McDaniel has done repeatedly throughout his tenure as head coach of this team. The thing that he has not yet been able to do is get them fired up to play a game on the road in the cold against a real opponent and get a win. And, he's won big games at home. He's won big games on the road against tough competition early in the season. But when the chips are down, when you get to December, the most important time of year, that is when, the wheat is separated from the chaff, where the men and boys are separated. It always happens in December, late in the year. And these are the times where Mike McDaniel's teams have always come up small. you always see the problems in the operation. They always present themselves in these games. It always, because of the fact that it always happens and it always looks the same way, you point the finger at the head coach and you go, this is a team that is not adequately prepared. It's the only explanation. And so now he's got an opportunity here. And I'm not telling you that if the Dolphins go into Pittsburgh on Monday night and win this game, that Mike McDaniel has, solidified his job status for next season. I don't believe that that's the truth. I think the Dolphins could win out and he could still very well not be the coach next season for the Dolphins. But for me, if he can go in there and win this game, that is the first time that I could look at this and go, okay, that is a statement win. And that is a coach that actually did what he needed to do for this team. It would be a huge, huge thing for McDaniel to lead this team to a victory Monday night in Pittsburgh. And I don't think it can be understated, even though it's not going to make an impact on the playoffs or necessarily his job status. But if he should lose this game and lose it in the same way that this team has lost these games before, there is no saving his job for me. So I don't think he can secure his job, but I absolutely think he could lose it on Monday night.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think. I actually think,
I'm not saying he's getting fired if they lose.
Well, no.
On
What
Monday,
I'm saying, I kind of think the opposite. I kind of think that if he wins this, Stephen Ross doesn't want to fire the guy. Like, he obviously doesn't want to fire the guy, and so if he wins this game, I think, even if they were to end up fading down the stretch, I think they will. You look at, he beat Buffalo, and then he put together a few nice wins in a row. He even won a Monday night primetime game on the road in Pittsburgh, and if they win that, I think he'll probably he could lose the last 3 games, and I think he probably won't get fired. He might be able, Stephen Ross doesn't want to fire him so much. He might not have to win another game the entire season. He could lose this game. He could lose out, and he still probably is still the head coach.
Stop.
But I think if he, I think it's more likely that a win saves his job than a loss loses his job, because at the end of the day, even if you don't believe that this game is going to be the end all be all, and I really don't think this game is going to be the end all be all of any decision that Stephen Ross makes or whoever the GM makes. I think at the end of the day, they're going to look at this at the end of the season. And so, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, if Mike McDaniel loses, you got to fire. I've been saying you got to fire him since week 3. So
here's the thing.
I don't care. They should. But what happens if the Dolphins lose this game and then they win the rest of their games? Did Mike McDaniel get fired because they lost to Pittsburgh?
Here's what matters. It's not about what Ross thinks. I understand that a lot of people
very much about what Ross thinks.
Well, I understand that. It is about what Ross thinks, in as much as he has the power to tell whoever the next GM is that they've got to keep Mike McDaniel. But I think it is very much about, he's showing those other GMs out there right now and those GM candidates who he is, and he's showing them whether or not he deserves to keep his job. And I'll say this, if the Dolphins go out there and they have another stinker Monday night, it doesn't matter who the GM candidate is. I think it's going to be, those are people that are going to come in and be like, no, this guy can't do it. He can't do it in the big moments. And so I think there's a very real possibility that he's going to show everybody who he is as a head coach. We've seen it over the course of the season. And this is one of those moments where, the rubber meets the road, to use another cliche. And that's going to be what happens. And I think if they come out and it's a stinker, I'm not saying it's a competitive game that they lose. I'm saying it's another just stinker disaster performance where they just got nothing in the tank. I think that's the kind of performance that'll make everybody go, yeah, this guy just doesn't have it. So
Yeah, I'm kind
because
of
because there's already a mountain of evidence that suggests he just doesn't have it. And
yeah,
this
like
will be yet another data point in that towards that argument.
Yeah, and I don't really care. Like I'm done with this game says what who Mike McDaniel is as a coach. No, this game says who Mike McDaniel is as a coach. There's no one game that says who Mike McDaniel is as a coach. We have 4 years of evidence of who Mike McDaniel is as a coach.
Yes.
There are some good things, there are some bad things, and we know what those things are. And at this point, we'll see what happens on Sunday, but like I'm not going to just suddenly change my mind on Mike McDaniel if the Dolphins win this game. And I'm not going to say, the following, on Tuesday after this game, if the Dolphins lose by 2 touchdowns, I'm not going to sit here and come on the show and say, well, that seals it. Mike McDaniel's fired, because I know damn well that's not the case. I mean, I wish that was the case. Like if that happens, I would absolutely be on here and say, yeah, he probably should get fired. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, that clinches it.
I am not saying that this one game is a make it or break it for me. Because
no, but it's not a make it or break it for Ross either. I know that's not what you're saying. There's no make it. It's already broken for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's already broken for me. It's already broken for
like if they go out there and they win that game, I'm not saying suddenly, oh yeah, Mike McDaniel should keep his job. But I will say this, because again, this is one game and there's 3 more games after it. I think it is the kind of thing that the one thing that I think could make somebody sit there and look at this team and maybe get them, that could make this season salvageable is, McDaniel goes out there and the Dolphins finish this season 10-7. And that's the one thing that would make me sit back and go, maybe. I'm not even saying that would make me say definite, because the thing is that people always look at something like that and they would look at, well, this team won 8 games in a row to close the season. And that's all well and good, but it's not an 8-game season. It's a 17-game season. And the fact that you were able to get it together and win those games late in the year doesn't mean anything if you start the season 2-7.
Yeah, but they'll look at that and they'll the excuses that are built in. Oh, we needed the defense needed to gel. All these new pieces on defense. It took the defense half the year to gel. Once the defense kind of came together, everything's looking better. Tyreek Hill got hurt, so you had like a few weeks in the middle of the season where you completely had to revamp your offense. You managed to go on this big run without your best player, and you managed to do that while your quarterback was regressing without his best receiver. You started the season and immediately lost James Daniels, and then shortly thereafter lost Austin Jackson. And so that's why you started 2-7. All those things were why you started 2-7. And Mike McDaniel did this amazing job to get this team back together. And so we're going to carry all this momentum into 2026. And we're just going to build off of it, and we're going to be a great team. And then they're going to realize, oh, well, we don't have the cap space to bring this guy back or this guy back. And then we're kind of rebuilding this because we've got no, depth, and we're still kind of in a rebuild. And then we've got the Tua question that's lingering over our head. And at the end of the day, regardless of how it finished, how it started, you ended up being a mediocre football team at the end of the day. And there's no reason to think that you won't be a mediocre football team the following year. And so all of that, we'll have the entire offseason to bemoan that whole mess of a situation that is almost certain to happen. It's almost like this team could literally lose out, and there is about half of the fan base that is going to say, well, they were really starting to put it together. They just didn't have enough down the stretch because Tua wasn't good enough. But if Tyreek Hill was there, and if they didn't start 2-7 because it took so long for the defense to gel, if they started the season, 4-5, they'd be a playoff team. If Devon Achane doesn't step out of bounds against the Patriots, they might be a playoff team. And all of the excuses, all of the, bending over backwards to do the mental gymnastics to ultimately, talk themselves into why the Dolphins aren't as bad as they've looked like they are and that they are. All of that's going to happen this offseason because it happens every offseason. And it's why I said months ago at this point that the best thing that could happen to this team was to lose football games so that the veil of delusion, the veil of optimism could be lifted off and we could just accept this as failure. This team has done an amazing job to keep that veil of optimism, that veil of this might actually be a good team, hanging in front of their face. We'll see what happens.
You know what that veil is called?
No, what
it's
is
the
it?
same
Well, I call
old
it
Dolphins
delusion.
veil. It's
What?
the same old Dolphins veil.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
So let's get into it. Let's get into
In
the
the
one hot
70s,
take.
we had the horrible hanky.
Yeah.
In the 2020s, well, in all of the 2000s, you have the same old Dolphins veil.
That's right. Get into it. All right. Let's get into the one hot take. This is where we ask you for one hot take of something that is going to happen in the game on Monday night. Dolphins, Steelers, Monday night. What is your hashtag one hot take? I'll go first. I actually thought about changing mine, Brain. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm changing my hashtag one hot take. I am not going Alec Ingold receiving touchdown. For this game, I am going Chop Robinson interception. An interception for Chop Robinson. That's my one hot take. I posed it in the Dolphins Talk Extra Discord. Let's hear what the people had to say. We had some pretty good ones here today. Misharon says Jalen Ramsey pick six, stares down McDaniel into his soul as the camera goes to commercial. Jersey Nick says 3-0 Steelers. There's precedent. It's true. That was the score, I think, in 2007 when the Dolphins played the Steelers. And I think it was a Monday night game too. And it was in like a horrible rainstorm where the field was basically mud and like nobody could do anything. And the Steelers won with a field goal right at the end of the game, 3-0. Good one from Jersey Nick. The Jet 305 says 200 plus yards rushing in a win. How about this one from Timbo? Dulcich, 100 plus yards receiving. Patrick Mullen says 2 premier Dolphins offensive starters get hurt. Yikes. Al Craig 23 says McDaniel sticks with the run. John says a frozen Tua is carted off the field looking like Han Solo after the deep freeze in Empire Strikes Back. Mark Nelson says Tua's QBR above 70. Mr. McDolphin is staying with his one hot take from last week. He says Tua rushing touchdown. Anjuna Abel says defense gets 6 sacks in back-to-back weeks. And Martini Jack says this season is a total setup for 9-8 and road game playoff destruction. Hot take. Kicking the balls coming. We had some.
It's a very hot take to predict that the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs at 9-8.
Yeah, that's a scorching hot take.
That's the hottest take we've had.
I think it's literally impossible at this point. Somerset Tim says for a second straight week, Achane, Wright, and Gordon all score rushing touchdowns. And on the Twitter machine, PJ Pard says, Tua to truck Ramsey on a touchdown scramble. Pretty good. Here's one from Victor Lozano, who says, Minka with a game-saving interception. And then, let's see, we've got one from Jordan Murray. One hot take, Minka Fitzpatrick gets a pick 6 for the win. and I don't know if this is a hot take from Phil Montgomery, but he says, Dolphins will play like pure basura and somehow win anyways, just like the last 3 games. Well, to be fair, the last game was not pure basura. The game against the Jets was not pure basura, but I point taken. Brain, what is your #1 hot take?
You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. And by the way, if you're watching on demand, let us know in the comments, what is your #1 hot take for Dolphins and Steelers Monday night? Go for it.
I've given this a lot of thought.
Oh, baby, I can't wait.
And in light of recent events, Alec Ingold receiving touchdown.
Watch it happen. Watch it happen. Excellent. Love it. We love to see it. All right, it's time for some score predictions. Brain, what do you got? Are they going to do it? Are the Dolphins going to go to Pittsburgh in the cold, on the road, on Monday night, real opponent? Are the Dolphins going to do the unthinkable and find a way to win this game on Monday night?
Look, vibes are good. Steelers are banged up. Dolphins are the healthier team. Dolphins are the better running team. Defense is playing much better over the last month. There, you very easily make the argument that the Dolphins should be able to go into Pittsburgh and win this game. I do not trust this team. I do not trust this quarterback. I do not trust this coach. I want to be proven wrong. I've wanted to be proven wrong about this team many times over the past, I would say, decade or so, because, for a while there, I was as delusional as some of the fan base. I was bought in. I didn't need to be proven wrong. I was proven wrong by being an optimist. But over the last decade or so, I've learned my lesson. And now I've been a pessimist and I've largely been correct.
Patrick,
and now I want to be proven. Now I want to be proven wrong. I don't trust this football team. I think we're going to come in. I think Pittsburgh's going to punch us in the mouth. And I think Pittsburgh's going to get ahead in this football game. And we're going to be playing an uphill battle. And that's going to mean that Tua is going to make mistakes. And that there might be 1 or 2 times in the comeback that you think, oh, maybe the Dolphins have it in them. Maybe they're turning it around, but they're going to fall flat. And the Steelers are going to end up winning this game 30-13.
I got to be honest with you. I am of a similar mindset to you are. I don't trust this team to go on the road and win the game, and I can't. It's just like I can't pick them to beat the Bills until I see them do it, which they did earlier this season. So now I can remove that as a reason to not pick them to do it. But I can't pick this team to go on the road in December and win a game against a team that is in first place in the division. I just can't do it. I can't even trust that this team is going to be up for the game and ready and prepared to be in the fight. As much as I would love them to be, I don't think it's going to happen. I think just like you, they come out flat and they've got to try. They're playing from behind, and we know the Dolphins are they're not designed to play from behind, and they're going to end up trying to do too much, and it's going to get ugly and out of hand. I think it'll be a little bit closer than you are, but maybe because the Dolphins get a score in garbage time to make it such. But ultimately, I think this is a Pittsburgh Steelers victory, and I think it's, like I said, I don't think it's close. I think Pittsburgh wins it 29-20. And I think that is a score that looks closer than it actually is, frankly. So that's how I think this one goes. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think the final score of this one is going to be. But that is going to wrap us up for this episode of the Same Old Dolphin Show. We will be back. Let's see. I don't know what our schedule is going to be like next week because the game is on Monday night. We're going to be together, I think, watching this game on Monday night. So maybe we'll do a very quick, 10-minute thing right after the game so that we can have something in your ears on Monday night. We'll do a very quick reaction show or something. I don't know, just a thought. But we'll try to figure out something to get something out to you. But we'll be back next week. And in the meantime, we'll have you covered with all kinds of great stuff here on the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. Whatever the case may be is, we hope that you will come join us right now over on Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. Remember, you can use the promo code DTXmas and sign up for only $1 for your first month. It also makes a very good Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa gift. Speaking of gifts, Caneswear.com is the spot to get all the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins gear. So whether you're looking for a Christmas gift for yourself or a loved one, whatever the case may be, is Caneswear.com is the spot. They'll ship internationally as well. So set your friends up with a holiday gift from Caneswear.com. All right. That is going to wrap us up for this one. We will be back next time. We're coming up next on Dolphins Talk Extra. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, go Dolphins!
I wish it were cold.